Hey hosers, Maybone here, and we are doing a discussion on non-binary genders and such things. And such things. I need to mute my. Uh, I need to mute YouTube. What we're going to do is we're going to start with Brittany, and we're just going to go through as usual, and you can introduce yourself, your identity, your pronouns. If you have like Twitter or YouTube or anything that you want to shout out, go ahead and do it. Um, so let's start with Brittany.
Hi there, I'm Brittany. I am MXBD Unicorn on Twitter. I use they, them, or she, her pronouns, and this is my first time being on this podcast. So, hi everyone.
Hey, as everybody knows, I am Maybowen. I usually use she, her pronouns, but I'm bigender, so I occasionally go boy mode like I am, so I won't care if people use he, him pronouns for this, because, it's kind of where I'm going. Um, I do have another YouTube, Maybowen, and I'm going to start laughing at transvestigations people because of a stream that happened last night. I'm probably going to get flooded and attacked with them by them, but I don't care because they're hilarious. Um, so yeah, that is what's going on with me. Go ahead, Sylvan.
Hi, I'm Sylvan Flat. Either is fine. She, her pronouns. That's about it for now. My Twitter handle is @Pelez. What's there more?
I am getting some noise from someone. Okay, that it seemed to have stopped. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hi guys, you all know me. This should be an interesting conversation for me because I totally identify as a woman, she, all that, and I don't understand gender fluidity very well at all. So, yeah, I'm probably as confused as some people in the chat.
Okay, go ahead, Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I have a YouTube channel and a Twitter, and they're both Excultbaby if you want to follow me on either of those. I identify very recently, I came to terms with the fact that I am gender fluid, and I use she, her, or they, them pronouns.
Okay, and go ahead, Kaden.
Hi, I'm Kaden Jackson, and I use they, them pronouns. I am agender, and my Twitter handle is @Kaden
All right, so, Brittany, you actually had a very interesting topic that you wanted to bring up.
Oh yeah, it was the other day. One of my friends, they sent me a question that was it's just like they said out of context question, but it was what does it mean to be a woman? Because I think they're also like woman aligned as well. Like I kind of am a little bit, but they were asking for like with trans women and feminine non-binary people primarily. But I also expanded to like what does it mean to be a man, or even more germane to this chat or podcast, what does it mean to be non-binary, or in general, what does it mean to be your gender? Insert gender here.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Because a lot of people ask, well, how do you know? And stuff like that. Because people question us all the time.
Yeah, people do question us a lot. I mean, it turned on like a light switch for me. I just knew. It's like, oh, I want to be like this. I want to be a boy and a girl for me. So it just turned on like a light switch. But I don't know. Other than a loose general description, I don't know what it means to be a woman. So
yeah, I think a lot of it's just like those ping moments. Those like the first one happened in 7th grade. Like I went to like one of those like preppy schools where you had to wear school uniforms, and like the boys had blazers. They could choose gold buttons or silver buttons. The girls had skirts and sweaters and all these other, and I wanted them. You know, like it was like I felt an envy that I don't think anybody like is typically part of the cis male experience. You know.
I am not sure where this sound is coming from.
Love your hat, Sylvan.
It's not for me, is it?
I don't think so.
Is it me? I don't think so.
No, I haven't heard it from you.
I don't know.
What does the sound like?
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
I hear it too.
Okay, well,
White noise. By the way, just not to like totally interrupt this whole thing or anything, but I'm not comfortable talking over people most of the time. So are we like doing this in any orderly way, or do we just jump in when we have a thought?
jump in when you have a thought. Just I don't know if you want. Jenny and I can kind of moderate a bit. So if you really want to say something and you're not getting a chance to jump in, just do what I did for that one stream and put your hand up or something.
Yeah.
You're like, woohoo, hello.
I did have something.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I say? Okay, so I'm agender, and what that basically means is that I don't have a gender identity. And I was actually born intersex. So I was born with a condition called Klinefelter syndrome, which is where you have XXY chromosomes. And so when a baby with Klinefelter syndrome is born, you know, they oftentimes will have genitals that are closer to male than to female. And so they will be raised as boys. And that's what happened to me. So when I was born, they noticed that I was a bit different, but they still labeled me as male. And they raised me as male. And I know that when I was like 4 years old, I was confused as to why they thought I was a boy. Like why are they calling me a boy? I don't get, you know, being male. Like that isn't something that is me. Like, and then I thought, well, I just feel like me. I don't feel like a boy. I don't feel like a girl. And all throughout my childhood, I've always felt in between boys and girls. You know, I had mostly female friends. I had a few male friends. And I just noticed that I usually fell in between them in terms of like gender behavior, in terms of interests, things like that. I just fell in between them. And in terms of identity, I've just always been like, I'm just me. I just feel like myself. I don't feel like I'm a man. I don't feel like I'm a woman. I don't feel anything. I don't feel a combination of them. I just have an internal sense of myself as being just nothing, just gender neutral. So when I first came out, that was about almost 6 years ago now. At the time, I thought that, okay, I was labeled a boy at birth. I've been living as a man. I don't want to be a man. So the only other choice is to be a woman. So I came out as MTF, and I bought a bunch of like skirts and dresses and all that, and I committed myself to living as binary MTF. But about 6 months in, I found like binary MTF doesn't feel right. Like a female box is just as limiting and constricting as the male box had been for me. Mm-hmm. So I came out as being agender, non-binary, and even though I came out that way, and even though I am agender, the physical transition for me was still the typical MTF transition. You know, HRT, all of that was the same, because I know that the body I was born with, and you know, the male-ish body that I had before I transitioned, gave me dysphoria. It didn't make me feel. It made me feel off. It made me feel like not myself. Mm-hmm. And I know that I would feel better with a female body. So I transitioned. And yes, it's not going to be entirely female, but it's as close as what modern science has. And I
Okay.
like to present femininely. Like I like to wear things like that. My full first name is actually Cadence, but I always go by Kaden. And like I'm saying all this because I feel like people confuse gender and presentation all the time, and
Mhm.
it's not the same thing. It doesn't matter how many flowers on my shirt. It doesn't matter how much makeup I wear. It doesn't matter how much estrogen is in my system. I'm not a
Mhm.
woman. And it doesn't matter that I have a Y chromosome. I'm not a man.
Yep.
I have no gender. And that's something that a lot of binary trans people and a lot of cis people don't get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm
I'm one of them. I don't get it at all.
you know, I think I've mentioned it before, but I've had to ask whether or not I'm agender, but a lot of agender people,
Yeah.
yeah.
I did try on the agender label early in my social transition because I think it's like, okay, like I just cleared out my mind, but then I came to realize like, wait, I feel more closer to both than neither, if anything. So I'm just like, it's not just with presentation, because presentation I like yeah, like I always like wanted to be like more feminine. Like I was fine with some masculine presentations, but like yeah, like before I really realized, only like wearing like I would like only like wearing like suits, like suit with ties. Like that's the only like male code outfits I only like to wear when I was before I realized. And sometimes when I'm feeling in that mood, I might put them on again, but not as much as I used to because I don't wear them every day.
Yeah, I'm fine with most male clothes, but those are like the one things I won't wear. It's too formal. Go ahead, Sylvan.
Oh no, I'm not trying to push into anything. Just like
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, like I don't like I'm presenting pretty much as a guy, just
Yeah,
to
you
make a
don't look like
point.
a gay, sorry.
Okay.
I'm like the only boy mode stuff I have are floral shirts. Like, they don't look.
I'm sorry, mate. You're born like very androgynous.
Yeah.
I can't grow facial hair anymore. Okay, I got it lasered off.
Lasered. Yeah.
So yeah, like I will dress however I want. I usually, I've been dressing more. I've been presenting more feminine because it's been 25 years since I've known I'm trans. I gotta get it out. Right? And
Yeah,
I'm trying to. There's a second part of it is that I'm trying to get people in my life. I'm trying to get people at work and our coworkers and our regulars and our semi-regulars. I'm trying to get them to understand that I'm trans. So there's a practical aspect to it as well. But I have no problems going as boy mode as I possibly can at any given time. So like there's it's like the difference between wearing this shirt and wearing my the stuff I would normally wear. That's on these that's very feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, I would say that when I first came out as non-binary, like 6 months after I started on HRT and came out as MTF, I used to dress pretty masculine. Like I would alternate between masculine and feminine, and it was mostly because I felt like I had to present as both if I was going to be agender. But over the last few months, I just found that feminine presentation feels better to me, and as long as people who know me understand that I'm not a woman, I'm perfectly fine presenting super femme with painted nails, makeup, fully things. I like it because it makes me feel cute and it makes me feel like myself. But the minute people are like, "Oh, well, you dress like that, that makes you a woman. You must be MTF. You haven't figured yourself out." Then it's like, "Oh no, I want to put on some boy clothes." so that I pass to people I know as non-binary.
Yeah.
And it just sucks. It honestly does.
Sylvan, I think that your fan is hitting your mic.
I don't have a fan.
Oh.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure the sound is coming from you.
Just asking the chat, is our volumes any better now?
Yeah, some people were talking about. I'm hearing everybody. I'm hearing everybody pretty fine. But I have a really good set of headphones.
Okay, you can hear us fine, Lizzie. Oh, that's good.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, there's not a lot of lag on this. That's good.
There's definitely a lag.
Oh yeah, I
Oh, yeah,
mean
there'll be lag from me. I'm in Australia. We suck.
I mean like between us and the chat though, there's not a huge amount of lag, which is kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah.
between the chat, I had to mute the video. Like I have the video up and running in the background to see the chat, but I muted that so I
Yeah.
can I hear everyone else, but because there'll be a lag, and I unmuted it, and there was like lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge lag, but it's nice to be able to see the chat. I need to stop playing with this pencil.
Oh, I'm horrible for fiddling, you know that.
Oh,
I do that too. I do it too.
Oh, I'm always fiddling with something.
I'm always fiddling with something. Oh, I promised, didn't I? I promised, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the one thing, the two identities that I think I understand agender a lot better now. I don't quite get it, but at least I understand it on some level. But the other genders that I really don't get is how is gender fluid. So can we direct our discussion a little bit more towards that? Because I like, does your gender just change randomly, or
Sorry.
Yeah, it was for me. I mean, I think I do qualify as gender fluid, but for me, the changes happen kind of slowly. I feel like, or maybe I was just questioning. I still hold on to that label. I'll see how it is, but the way I understand it is that sometimes gender can change on a mood, which I think that makes sense to me. Like, gender's like a mood.
Yeah, I identify as gender fluid, and trying to figure out what that actually means has been something that I've been thinking about for a long time, because like I said, I have only very recently concluded that I am gender fluid, even though it is definitely something that I have been pondering since I was maybe like 12 or 13. The first time I was exposed, when I was little, I kind of experimented with a tomboy kind of style, but it was never something that I stuck to. Like, I would enjoy presenting masculinely when I did, but I didn't feel like I wanted to do it all the time. And it never bothered me to be put in a dress. I know I was never dysphoric or anything, but as I got older, the concept of presenting in a masculine way or in an androgynous way became more appealing. Not all the time, but on and off. It's literally one of those things where sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I'll wear a binder under my clothes today, and sometimes I don't. It is kind of almost mood based. Like it depends on how I feel about myself, how I feel I can best express myself, and that's something that I kind of just check in on, like, how do I feel today? How do I feel right now? It doesn't necessarily change every single day or anything. In fact, I would say at least 50% of the time I probably identify as and present as female. And even when I am feeling more masculine or androgynous, I don't always have the opportunity to present that way, and it doesn't bother me. It's just kind of like, whatever, I know how I feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I've just been more on like I alternate between like femininity and androgyny. Like, I don't really want to be as masculine, and if I do, I just like kind of want to do it like in like a non-male masculine way. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And yeah, like sometimes I might change. It could be like some days I might like, want to change my outfit midday, and then some days I'm just like I want to wear the same sort of outfit few days in a row.
I was actually dressed very femininely before I got home. And
Yeah.
it changed into
This
this.
is what you see is what you were. Although I was wearing this. Yeah.
Awesome, that hat.
Nice.
Oh, nice. That is very nice.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
is.
I'm wearing a
That's
sports
nice,
bra,
too.
so
I have the same exact top.
This,
nice.
Not the same exact one.
Yeah, I got this from Kohl's. I shop at Kohl's, H&M.
We have that. We don't have
Yeah.
Kohl's. I don't think so.
Yeah.
We don't have one in
Kohl's-
Peterborough.
Kohl's is only in the U.S. I think.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a U.S. like chain department store.
Yeah, it's a discount department store. I guess it's
From
cheaper than
Milwaukee,
like.
Wisconsin, my hometown.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
have
cool.
Coles, but it's
State
for normal
Senate.
groceries.
Yeah, we have Kohl's, but it's a bookstore
Yeah.
that went under.
Yeah, it's spelled like Kohl
Oh.
apostrophe S.
Oh, ours was COLES.
Yeah,
Yeah, COLES as well.
yeah, it's spelled like.
Interesting.
Let's get
It's
back
probably
on.
like a last name.
Okay. I get a
Sure.
lot of my clothes from I get a lot of my clothes from Value Village and Toulouse, which are basically used clothes stores. So
Yeah.
did-
Yeah, a lot of thrift, a lot of consignment outlets.
Thrift,
and
secondhand.
out there.
I got this really. Last time I ever got something secondhand was this like cute like black dress, short dress tunic. Really looked good.
okay, I find really nice things sometimes, and occasionally dresses that I don't even know how to get on. I got
Oh, I get
lost.
that, like,
I
the
got
ones with
lost.
all the-
It was
the
like
ones
a
with all the buttons. Yeah.
it was like a dress inside a dress. I didn't actually get through to the other side.
I mean,
So-
actually, it's funny. I'm now used to doing like buttons on like the other way, because like on like, because these are like looped a certain way,
Yep.
like layered, and then one time I switched to like the other my like so-called men's shirts,
Mhm.
and then I was like, because the first time I tried on a blouse, I was like, I can't do this.
Right.
Yeah,
I like the other side.
Yeah, I have a lot. So I usually, generally speaking, I usually go for more androgyny. Like I wear a lot of men's pants because they have pockets.
Oh, pockets, yeah.
Pockets are
So,
good.
and so I usually wear like women's tops and if I'm wearing anything other than a skirt, I usually wear men's bottoms.
Yeah, I
So-
only wear like skirts or men's pants.
Yeah.
I've been pretty hyper femme lately.
I've gone as femme as I do often go as femme as I can as well, or as mask as I can. But yeah, it's just
It's been really cool seeing how the palette like shifts with the seasons. Like summer, like, I'm drawn so much more corals, and like I'm actually wearing like shirts that I like, and it doesn't feel like white shirts always felt like t-shirts, you know, pair it with jeans and like go like stealth cis mode for a while. And yeah, it's just I don't know. Everything's different now.
yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think I think I'm starting to see like some like redistribution. So like when I was like looking at some older pictures, like my face is starting to get a little softer, I guess.
And, like it starts here and then it
Yeah.
like, starts to flow here, and then there's
Yeah.
this last like I don't even know if it's like the stubble or
The stubble's gotten a lot slower.
It's not just the stubble, like the skin itself, like still
Yeah.
there's like this man patch of this last beachhead.
Mhm.
It happens like when I first started. I hope I'm not talking over anyone,
Go ahead.
but when I first started, I noticed the same changes. And again, because I'm intersex, hormones don't affect me quite as strongly as they affect other people. But I noticed, like, during the first 6 months, just big changes. Like, my face got a lot rounder and softer. You know, my brow ridge pretty much disappeared in terms of being visible. Like the facial hair that I had then started going in a lot more slowly. I mean, then I had it zapped off with electrolysis, but before that happened, it started, softening and going more slowly. Just all sorts of changes. Skin got smoother and softer, and that first year, I was just amazed at how much better I felt. Like, I stopped seeing Dead Name, and I started seeing Kaden, and that was just a huge thing for me. It honestly was.
I am looking for the old pictures on my
Hi,
phone
Shannon.
sometimes.
Questions?
Oh wait, hang on a sec. I really gotta give Shannon a wrench here. There you go,
wrench.
Shannon.
Oh yeah.
Shannon is amazing, by the way. And
Yes,
and Diana's in here. Nice.
Shannon, can you send your crew over to help
Hello, everyone.
the conspiracy for what's happening on his channel at the moment?
Yeah, let's give VTC a hand.
A shout out, a big shout out. He needs some thumbs up on that video.
Yeah, it's like 600 down from Conspiracy
Yeah.
Nutters. Sorry, we're just like we've been on pretty much every one of this guy's streams, or at least all of his major ones. I wasn't on the one that night because I was asleep.
And he doesn't deserve the shit he's got.
No. So you're back to being gender fluid. So like, you just feel more masculine or feminine on different days with your moods, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it varies to what degree. I also sometimes distinctly feel that I would rather be androgynous. Like,
Okay.
not just male or female to varying degrees, but sometimes I specifically feel like I want to look androgynous. I want to be perceived that way. I feel that way. I don't feel like I'm quite anywhere, or I'm somewhere in between. And not only do I feel that way, but I would like to be perceived that way. Again,
Okay.
it does, for me, because I switch kind of between those genders, if people don't perceive me that way, it's only slightly annoying. I don't know if that's something that affects other people more emotionally or mentally, but I guess one time I was specifically trying to dress kind of somewhere between masculine and androgynous, kind of going for a gender fuck look, and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed, and I was kind of like annoyed about it. But that's the worst that I felt about it.
Yeah, I don't actually have any social dysphoria, just body dysphoria. So like, I'm kind of in the same boat where if people don't see me presenting as whoever I am, it's just a little bit it's kind of annoying. It's a little bit more than kind of annoying if I think I'm doing really good. But
I feel like the more femme I look, the more femme I'm presenting, the more annoying it is. Also, there's like totally different packages of behaviors that you get from different people. Like if I'm with a cis male, sometimes I'd prefer that they not treat me like a cis lady in certain circumstances because it's horrifying.
Yeah.
But it's just a whole like safety-based thing.
Yeah, cis men are. My experience with cis men is that they tend to like misgender me more. Like, and cis women tend to not do it as much. And if a cis woman ever misgenders me, it's usually because she called me sir. But I noticed like cis men seem like they go out of their way to say like, "Yo, dude," or "Hey, man," or like
yeah, that.
I mean, I look kind of androgynous. I'd say I look mostly androgynous, kind of androgynous femme. If I had to place it, to be like brutally honest, like I'm probably androgynous.
Here in the upper Midwest, it's getting to be increasingly a problem when people use "you guys" because like it's totally like a catch-all that people.
Yeah, they say that.
I try so hard not to say "you guys," but I always do it.
It's not
a lot of people say that,
like,
right?
I do it. The thing is that like there's a "you guys" that's casual and people just use it in conversation, and then there's the "you guys" that's like, I'm with my trans femme friends, and like it's pointed, it's on purpose, and
I
Like
s-
it feels
Yeah.
like the ubiquitousness of the other you guys is what allows people to like jump in, and you know you can
I-
tell there's a facial
Feels a
expression.
difference.
They mean it.
Yeah.
I stopped caring about stuff like you guys when my cis woman friend called a bunch of a group of her, well, our
Yeah.
cis woman friends,
Yeah.
guys. She's like, I love you
Yeah.
guys, and it's like, oh
Very
yeah,
true.
right. That doesn't necessarily need to
Yeah,
be.
I remember.
And I have another friend
If
who.
I took offense at people using the word, saying you guys or hey guys or whatever like that, I'd be offended all the time because it's the vernacular in Australia. There is no other way to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys
guy-
is
I
non-gendered.
guess there's
basically,
where I'm
guy and
from-
dude is pretty much used for
Same with
everybody.
dude. People
And-
say dude to everyone here.
Yeah,
so-
and
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
well, here there's also like, I guess if like not a lot of people say it, but it's like use or yins,
Yous,
like
guys.
use,
Hey, yous,
use,
dude.
Yeah.
Yuins,
say
like
that a lot.
Yuin zone downtown or not, like oh, it's Pittsburghese. I'm near Philadelphia, not Pittsburgh, but
Oh.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
There's like,
Yeah.
of course, in like the southern
Dang.
states. I lived in Virginia for some time, and of course the ubiquitous y'all. Yeah.
It's weird because like
I'm-
I grew up in a y'all neighborhood, but then like I was
Virginia.
I was like
I mean, I lived in
Oh.
Virginia.
and then
I lived in Virginia for some part of my childhood, and I
Oh.
remember that everyone said that in Virginia.
Yeah. And it's truly gender neutral. Like
Yeah, you
I'm from
all.
the Midwest, and everyone says guys this, guys that.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah, definitely
truly
is.
not a gender thing. Like you would say to a group of 50 cis women, "Hi
Mhm.
guys." But
Yeah.
people from certain places that are not the Midwest, like trans people, have felt like that misgenders them because
Mhm.
they're just not used to it. So I try not to say you guys. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
like in the South, it's always like y'all.
I mean,
I
I've
live in
been.
Georgia. Yeah.
Y'all dudes.
I mean, I've been
Howdy,
saying, I've been saying "Hey hosers" at the start of all my videos
Yeah,
for a long
that's
time,
good.
Canadian.
just because it's about the most Canadian way I can start a video.
Yeah.
I do want to get back to another question I have for Rachel is
So
so
I'll have to start doing yo cobbers then, won't I?
oh yeah, Derry.
Yo cobbers, how you doing?
So when you say androgynous, I think I have a very different
Mhm.
definition of androgynous for than what you do. So what do you mean by androgynous?
I guess that I don't 100% know. I know that in my mind, it's. I guess that it's just unidentifiable. I guess I would say agender is probably the best way to put it. If we're going to use proper terminology. Yeah, agender is probably closest to what I mean by androgynous, is that I almost don't want people to be able to, like, if I was dressing as androgynously as I feel, people wouldn't be able to tell at all by looking at me. Like they would have, like, it would be one of those things where you're staring at somebody in public and you're like, hey, is that a dude or a woman? I can't tell. And it's not like I want people to stare at me and say that, but I know that people that's
That's
the
what
kind
you're
of thing-
going for.
That's what I'm
Right.
going for, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I totally get that.
So when I say that I'm trying to be an androgynous, usually, I mean I'm trying to very much present as both at the same time.
Mhm. That's
Like
closer.
kind of maybe a little bit TMI, but I happen to have a couple of very heavily padded bras, and I happen to have some Aussies will love this Aussie bum bulge enhancing underwear that I like to wear sometimes, and I like to wear them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
that's
Australian-
that's where I go. That's where I go with an androgyny, like very much as both as I can get at the same.
Right.
I take that back a little bit what I said then, because I do feel that way sometimes too. So I guess there's times when I say androgynous that I mean both and I mean neither.
Yeah.
It entirely depends. Because there are some times when I don't want to be perceived by gender at all, and there's some times when it's like, I want to like wear a suit but have a full face of makeup.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
exactly.
I
I can
get,
see
yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
still wouldn't wear a
Yeah.
suit. It's way too formal for my metal head.
It's interesting for me because I mean, you know, long ago, I did have a point where I thought I was a binary cis dude, and then a long period where I identified as yeah, and now I'm identifying as more binary femme, and what androgyny means to me has changed with my identification, you know. So when I was more male oriented, and I just like it just felt more right to go femme. But now, like, since femme is my default, you know, androgyny for me is if I were to go dapper, if I was to try on boy mode. But like boy mode with boobs is a totally different thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's gonna
yeah.
be.
Does
Boy
it mind
mode's
if
gonna.
I say something? Like, I
Yeah.
get what Sylvan was just saying, because like before I transitioned, you know, I presented in an androgynous way, but it was like mixing in femme things, like, you know, infinite scarves and, you know, tight leggings and things like that. Like, and now that I've physically transitioned to a more feminine point, androgyny for me, like, I'm going to present androgynous, is wearing masculine things, like, you know, putting on a button down shirt with a bow tie, or putting on,
Yeah.
you know, boyish things. Because I mean, it's almost like I've transitioned from, you know, AMAB non-binary to AFAB non-binary in a way.
That's actually a really good way of putting it. Like I never really it's more something that I've done to try to deal with my dysphoria, because I didn't think that for the better part of the last 14 years, either it would have either been unsafe for me to do so, or I felt that like transitioning was an unobtainable goal. So as part of that, I just sort of buried the the female half of myself to protect me from myself, which actually didn't go nearly as well as I had expected
if you're
it to.
doing, yeah,
But
if you're doing
Yeah,
Mm.
like,
in the
I
previous
know how you feel,
environment.
May, because oh, I feel like I'm talking over someone.
Okay.
um,
Oh, well, I was gonna say, I know how you feel, because before I came out, like when I was living as male, I was like, okay, everyone just thinks I'm a cis male. Like, I told a few people, hey, I'm gay, because I thought that was like the only queerness that could be open to me if I wasn't, you know, full on MTF. If I wasn't willing to full on come out, I was like, oh, I'm just a gay guy. But I didn't think anyone suspected that I was anything other than cis male. But when I came out, very few people were surprised. Like, almost no one was.
Yeah,
yeah,
I got a lot of the, oh, that makes sense, or that explains.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With-
it's
like
with
like,
me,
I,
it's
like I come
I don't
out.
know what I thought. I thought I was doing a good job.
People
I
were
know,
actually,
I feel that way too. Like, I told people, like, since at the time I was coming out as MTF, like, hey, I'm MTF. Like, oh yeah, that's cool. We already knew. I was hiking out there for you. How are the mountains? I'm like, what?
Yeah, but I
just
think
told you it was
also.
MTF. Yeah, I knew already.
I
Mm-hmm.
had
I
people.
definitely.
yeah, that's
had people that were
the that's
like
kind of the exact opposite of like nobody ever would have guessed that I'm trans, right? Like I guess it has to do with, you know, half of me basically being a cis man, and just there's another half there as well. So like I can do boy mode very well because it's like a genuine, authentic. I'm
Yeah.
basically being myself. I'm just more than this. Right, there's another side to me, and I don't like change or anything, right? It, like I said, it's just a shirt. I can change my presentation. whenever I want. So, or my expression rather, like I can just do whatever I want. Go ahead, Sylvan.
Oh, I just think it's really important, especially for people who right now are in their 30s. If there's people that are younger, they're watching this, to understand that we're coming from a place where homophobia and transphobia were much, much, much more rampant and virulent, and there were no good examples to, there weren't Janet Mox and there weren't Kim Petrus's. There was nobody in the pop cultural sphere that you could look to that would be excited. There would be like someone in the news, and you'd hear about like how like they had transitioned and then they'd like kind of disappear after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be all you had.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't really have a lot of the transphobia and the homophobia, but we definitely had like no information, good or bad, whatsoever here. Sorry, go ahead, Jenny.
I'm really surprised that you guys didn't have icons that you could look at and see that there were other trans women out there doing stuff, because even when I was a kid, I knew about Christine Jorgensen, Carolyn Cozzi, people like that.
I mean, like they were more like, it was like a news item.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean,
for that and that alone,
I sought out Carolyn Cozzi's book at the library and read it. I ate up everything I could about being trans.
I had access to American libraries.
Yeah, you're from Australia, which is a more tolerant country. Like in the US.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I mean, I'm not talking about a place that was tolerant. I had access to information, yeah, through libraries and stuff like that, but no internet.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd say like not everybody picked up the right books,
Yeah.
Like, and
there
I know
were.
that if I brought home anything trans, gay, anything like that, my parents would have kicked my butt. Like, I would have been probably kicked out.
Evangelical conservative background. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of that from Oopsie.
Now,
See, I think that's the difference for me to a lot of you guys, is that even though I grew up in a Christian household, the church my family were part of was probably one of the most is probably still one of the most progressive churches in Australia, very similar to the church of the same name in Canada.
And the States. I've actually it's the United Church. And actually there was a it's being considered a hate crime. I don't know where in the States it happened, but like they had like doors in the rainbow flag colors. And they painted them up, and they were like, we're super accepting of LGBT people. Come to our church if you're LGBT and religious.
Australia, there's lots of gay and lesbian pastors in the Uniting Church. Totally open to trans people. I got married in a Uniting Church after I transitioned.
So, but they like some other not United Church Christian went and like bombed the doors and burnt them.
Upbringing really affects like a person's opportunities and also like how they're going to identify, because I have so much internalized trauma. I have my pastor assaulted kids in middle school, and my church buried it.
I had none of that, and I had my dad was even though he was deeply religious, he was a strong critical thinker, and he taught all of us to be critical thinkers.
Go ahead, go ahead, Rachel.
I guess I just wanted to make a contrast, because you guys are all talking about how you really didn't have access to role models. Well, when I was 12 or 13, I was homeschooled, but I was online homeschooled. So the internet was wide open to me. I closed my bedroom door and just sat in front of my computer for hours a day. And guess what? I wasn't doing homework the whole time. In fact, not even most of the time. I was on Tumblr. And that was where I had my first exposure to my own gender identity. And I strongly resonated with it immediately.
Yeah.
But I thought that at the time, of course, that I just liked it as a concept.
Yeah, I found Susan's place back then, but like we had one home computer, my family shared it. We had like dial up for a good long while. By the time like everybody had the internet, like, check the search history, and then we'd have a nice talk about it.
Oh my god, I remember getting a talk once.
when
But
I
that happened to me.
first moved to Toronto, and then I got my own computer and my own internet connection, that's basically what happened. But I was like 20, 21 at the time. So yeah, but that's basically what when I did that, and then that was short lived because transition seemed like a impossible transition acceptable to me seemed pretty much possible. Now it's fully possible. I just learned, so that's good.
Yeah.
Pretty
When I
cool.
is it okay if I say something?
Go ahead.
Or am I talking over someone?
Say it next. I'll go next.
Oh yeah. So for me again, I'm not a trans woman. I'm agender, and I'm just nothing. But when I was a kid, I know one time I was probably 14, and I looked up online. I just googled the word transgender, and this would have been back in like 2001, 2000 actually. It was 2000, so the internet was still very much in like the 90s. GeoCities mode. Google was a brand new thing, and I found out some general information, and the only things I found were just the short binary. And then I also found a lot of like creepy, porn sites and things like that, which I didn't go to. But
even
later
the
that day,
that really fucked the transition.
my dad searched my search history, and he found that, and we had a talk.
Oh.
He was not happy. I mean, I was like, well, it just popped up. I didn't look at it.
You know what's I have like a funny thing with the talk. The funny thing with the talk was like, I don't know, like this was like I don't know if this was like sexuality or like wise. Like I always had like a fascination with breasts when I was like 12.
Mhm.
I don't know, and it wasn't so like it was like I guess in hindsight it was like, am I attracted to them or do I want them? Turns out it's yes to both, but
Yeah.
That is the struggle of me being pansexual and gender
yeah,
fluid now.
Yeah.
It's like, do
Yeah,
I want
like-
those or do I like those? It's
like
both.
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
my
pansexual was a mind blow for me to realize that I mean, I always identified as bi, but to realize that I was actually pan was just mind blowing.
being like bi, pan, and non-binary, that's like a constant mood for me.
Well, you try
Yeah.
being very binary in your thinking and suddenly realize that you're pan.
Yeah, I knew I
I'm
was bi or pan before I realized I was trans anyway. So
No.
I
knew
Because
I-
when I say, oh sorry, when I say I'm very binary, I was
Yeah.
well, I still am binary in my thinking, but when I say I was very binary in my thinking, I think May would agree that if you talked to me 5 years ago, you would have labeled me as true scum.
Oh.
yeah,
oh.
Yeah.
changed. I internalized a lot of that too in my
Transition
past,
a long
and
time ago, that's how like that was the mindset. That was the framework.
Yeah,
That was
well,
Yeah.
acceptable.
I went through that. I mean, I identify very binary, so getting through the gatekeepers was very easy for me. I just went up and said, "This is what I want. This is what's happening." They go, "Cool, because you fit the profile. Go for it." And that was very easy for me. But I
Yeah.
also got reinforcement from that this was the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ah.
anybody who didn't fit my picture of what was the way to do it was a trans-trender in my head, and you could all go fuck yourselves because you were screwing my ability to be trans and be identified as a woman. That was actually how I felt.
Ooh. I mean,
thought
Yeah.
I internalized a lot of that, and I thought that I couldn't really be trans because like I don't really feel dysphoric enough. But I didn't know what dysphoria really felt like until I realized it was. It's like that one thing too. It's like non-binary dysphoria is like
different.
dysphoria gets talked about in a very binary way. I feel like,
I-
but I do have like body and social dysphoria to worry about. So it's just it took me to realize that this counts as dysphoria.
well,
and then,
it's
like,
the it's the frog in the pot thing,
Yeah.
where like your dysphoria is normal. It's everywhere. Like prior to HRT for me, like my normal wasn't just dysphoria, it was dissociation and depersonalization and depression and what I identified as anxiety, but that was just social dysphoria.
You also need to stop. We also need to stop claiming dysphoria as a trans thing. It's not a trans thing. It's an anybody's thing. Yeah, no, anybody can have body dysphoria.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know cis people who have dysphoria about not being cis enough, about like not looking like that.
Oh, I heard.
Yeah.
I have
That's-
actually, I actually realized this when I was on a amino that is full of all of the trans people on it are true scum trans men almost. I was one of the very few trans women on it, and I guess now I know why. But a lot of things that the trans guys were saying are like, especially around their height, are pretty much the same things that I would hear cis men who are short saying, and it's like, okay, that makes sense, right?
I don't know if that's exactly the same, but I definitely feel like there's dysphoria when, like, for example, a woman who's undergone mastectomy decides that she wants breasts again, or
Yeah.
testicular removal in the case of testicle cancer. Like they have a prosthetic, like saline sac testicle that exists only to fill that void for them. That I think that's like a cis dysphoria, I suppose.
Yeah,
I remember
look at how many women have boob jobs or nose jobs or
Yeah,
whatever else, and they're
my
all part of
own-
the same surgeries we have.
Yeah.
And it's still a body dysphoria thing.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
There's
it,
other
it makes sense to me.
Dysmorphia is a totally different thing.
I don't know, dysmorph. Yeah, I remember my mother getting like augmentation. I remember telling her, I'm just like, wow, he did, and she told me, like, I guess like, oh, I never liked my boobs too, like, because I guess
Well, I mean, also body image issues.
yeah,
It's
That's
probably,
that's different.
I kind of see them as the same, but it's probably for a lot of, for the overwhelming majority of get it, it's probably not anywhere near what trans people would feel.
Oh, I 100%
because
agree with you.
Because they're already starting from a better place.
mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it very much makes that very much makes sense to me that because it's like for verbatim, I work with a actually very attractive cis woman who is my height and doesn't really have overly broad shoulders, but she continuously complains that she's 6 foot and has slightly broader shoulders than the average woman. Like in the exact same way, I hear a lot of trans. I was for a short period of time convinced that she was trans because of it, but she's not. So, like
It's really dangerous to overly read people as trans.
yeah, I didn't say anything. I'm just like, okay, this verbatim what a lot of trans people say.
Exactly.
So it makes sense to me. Go ahead, Rachel.
I want to say first of all that Sylvan has changed her outfit like a billion times and it keeps getting better and better. Like the accessories keep coming. It's great. I love it. It's like a
amazing.
fashion show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sylvan's looks are just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I wish I had fashion sense like that.
The pearls, the gold, the hair, it's all going. But
Yeah.
I wanted to say that like even as a I never experienced anything that I would have labeled as dysphoria the way that I knew my trans friends experienced dysphoria. Like I had a female to male friend in high school, and the dysphoria that he experienced was wildly horrible. And so I never considered anything that I ever felt about my body to be dysphoria because I was comparing it to a very extreme binary case. When looking back, I remember as a teenager being obsessed with either wearing the push-uppiest push-up bras I could find or completely binding my chest in whatever way that I could. I went back and forth between those. I clearly cared very much about my body conforming to my own mental image, but I didn't label it as dysphoria because, for one thing, it kept switching back and forth, so I didn't feel like it was real, I guess, and I wasn't feeling it as strongly as the binary trans people that I knew. It didn't cause me nearly as much psychological distress. So for some reason, I just didn't consider it dysphoric at all,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I rarely ever experience anything close to intense dysphoria. It's usually very mild. And yeah, it's only like completely body dysphoria, not like clothes or social or there's some internal dysphoria as well, but I mostly got that sorted out. But if I were like just if I were like 15 or 16 and didn't haven't had a very good idea of myself for 25 years before I even 24 years before I even bothered to come out, I would probably not be nearly as confident as in myself as I am, even though I would know more because there's all of the true scumminess and everything, right? I completely evaded that for a long time.
Yeah, like I get that. When I first came out, I had those true scum ideas, and that was one big reason why I didn't come out as being non-binary in and of itself. First was because I didn't think I would be able to get past the gatekeepers, and also I just had these true scum ideas in my head.
Can we define
Yeah.
that word?
It's basically a slang term for trans medicalist, and it's basically a term for people who believe that you need dysphoria to be trans, and dysphoria is defined as binary
probably a lot better.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not
Less than that, they think we have to be caricatures of the gender that we identify as.
No, I've spoken with a lot of true scum. The really bad ones don't accept non-binary people, and the really bad ones would like need you to be hyper whatever your gender should be is.
Exactly.
But
I
there
understand.
there are a lot of them who are like, oh no, you just need dysphoria. It doesn't matter. We're going to and I had this argument with them because I have questioned whether or not I have dysphoria at times. So I've had this argument with them where they're like trying very hard to make you have dysphoria. It's interesting.
Exactly.
Oh,
Because they want to accept everyone, but they don't want to betray their own ideology.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of them do accept non-binary people.
I was the kind of true scum that insisted that people needed to want surgery.
There are people.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Well, I do, just not the normal one.
For so long,
Yeah,
I
like
felt
say,
like
guys
I
would have all
didn't
hated me.
want to get into that.
Go ahead,
I hated that
Brittany.
mindset.
Yeah, it was basically transmedicalism defines that being trans is inherently a like medical condition or mental disorder that requires treatment to a varying degrees. Some might be as extreme or just saying like, oh, you just have to have like gender dysphoria. To have it, and some like might have to say like, oh, you have to be on HRT or then want all surgeries and stuff. And it's just
Exactly.
Yeah.
basically I find they just hate non-binary people and gender non-conforming binary trans people too. Like even if you are
Yeah.
binary,
They're
and you-
Instead
bigots.
of-
They have their own worldview. They don't believe other people should be able to like define themselves.
Yeah. Has
Yeah.
anybody
Our community's bigots.
has anybody here ever had the unfortunate? I actually don't dislike her. I just think that she has some really bad ideas. Has anyone had the pleasure of encountering Bethany Aubrey?
Yes, they have. Yeah.
I haven't heard of her.
And she.
No?
Yeah, I haven't heard of her.
Oh, I've
What-
had
what are
several encounters with her.
I have
She
too.
told me that I shouldn't transition because I'm over 20. And
What?
I won't
Yeah.
pass. And because I won't pass.
What?
Yeah, they also
It's
emphasize
fine,
that too.
Yeah, no, it's all about aesthetic
She's changed a
appeal.
lot, But
It's all about like passing. Passing is so big in that
Yeah.
community. But if we could stop talking about the community, I would really prefer that.
Okay, yeah. I
I
will
get
say
that.
that she has changed a lot over the last few months.
I'm
Oh,
sure.
fine.
I really don't like.
Yeah, we
I
should
get
get
it,
away from
so
that.
I don't
Tough.
want to make you uncomfortable.
It's very.
I
I don't.
did have
like,
something to say, but I don't. If it's going to make you uncomfortable, Sylvan, then I don't want to say it.
I just would.
Yeah, I don't like I don't like that. So
Move on.
Yeah, so you spent a long time trying to or thinking you were non-binary, and then you've recently come to the understanding that you are binary. How did you like
Very recently, yeah.
yeah
Um, I think a lot of it has been exposure to the community, interacting with a much larger group of non-binary friends, just having that kind of calibration where I'd be like, well, I feel this way, and then a friend would be like, well, that's not how I feel, and then trying to like figure out how that is. And it's been hand in hand with a lot of other things, like slowly accepting the various stages of transition that because I was resisting the true scum element, I didn't want like to like the whole idea that like I wasn't a woman until like I got the snip, like that bothered me, you know. And now I've come to the realization I'm going to have GCS at some point.
okay.
And but there's a lot of there's a monetary element to it. There's like an element of fear. There's an element of just like, well, what if I go too far? You know, I don't know. It's one of those things where, as I've become more comfortable with all the aspects of my identity, I've just kind of figured out that I'm more just very very femme. And it's like I still have mask elements, but so do cis women.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everybody. So like if I'm like an 85-15 split, but I'm also the girliest person in every room, I have to like be like, okay, I know what I am.
Yeah. I mean,
No.
I have a lot of the. I actually have a lot of this. I actually have a phobia of any surgeries. Right. I would. It would be hard for me to have a simple biopsy.
Ooh, I'm like
Surge.
intensely hardcore. I had only local anesthetic when I was on the table for my major surgery. So yeah,
Oh.
I'm surprising myself with what I can handle.
So did you
But-
watch?
I get yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watched. I held the nurse's hand. There were like
Oh,
different
wow.
waves, there were different like, waves of it and stuff, you know.
I
My whole body was in shock. I was like shaking, like, and
It's
then
so weird that I
there was,
wouldn't
like,
have minded a video of my surgery.
I would have been having an anxiety attack.
yeah.
Wow.
There was like I had intense genital dysphoria, and like somehow like the mental connection once the first one was removed, like it was like relief, and I was like laughing. I like from the shock and the intensity of it all, but it was also just like so affirming, so like right. It was like giving birth to myself, you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
And the surgery is very affirming. I agree with you there, Sylvan. There was nothing better for me than waking up after my surgery and knowing that I'd gone through that. That was awesome. was like
you see, I have genital dysphoria, but it's only about what I don't have. I'm quite content with what I do have,
Yeah,
and
you talked about
that's
that.
yeah, that's
My-
it's hard for me to talk about because of some very very not nice people who said very not nice things to me about it. But
Yeah.
like there is one, but yeah, I kind of need both done there, or I'm going to be dysphoric.
Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My partner wants that. Me, I don't really care. I just or usually I like what I have, but my partner wants exactly what that may be described as, and they're non-binary too.
Yeah,
Oh my
I think you
God,
mentioned
John.
that.
You know, like it was like my last like bit of patriarchal, misogynistic, trans-misogynistic bullshit because I'm like, kind of like the unicorn in the trans community. But like I wanna it's not about that thing, you know? Like I know what feels right and I know where I want to be. And like at this point, like for me it's just almost like parasitic, that thing that like gets in the way of stuff, and I'm ready to never
Yeah.
feel it again.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't that's something that I just can't understand.
Yeah.
It's odd
Um,
when you know, but then you know, and then you know it's for you.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
knowing is a
exactly.
interesting moment.
Like there apparently is a surgeon who will do what I want, but she's in San Francisco. So that's a rough trip, and I'm still.
Yeah, we still got to win Lotto, don't we, May?
Yeah. I'm still. I'm almost. I'm actually even anxious just talking about it.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry, we can.
no, it's fine. I can deal with that. But yeah, that's.
Just one other thing that I want to say, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Like, for me, like one of the things that's reassuring is knowing that, like, I guess it's kind of like I have the Lego starter kit right now. Like I have all the pieces that will be what I'd like. It's just going to be in a different configuration, you know? So like that really helps me when I'm feeling like intense dysphoria in that region. That, like, you know, like all the flesh is the same. It's just going to be reorganized a bit.
That is, my family's a medical family. A lot of my mom and a lot of my aunts and my grandmothers were all nurses. So I have good access to medical information, and like I understand. One thing that helps me is I understand, like the various homologies of body parts, right? So like everyone has all of the same parts. They are just in different configurations. Even if they're not obvious, and that's kind of been a that's kind of been a comfort for me, to understand, just to know that I have everything. It's not necessarily all in the configuration I would like it to be.
Yeah. But like I think what a lot of especially cis folk don't understand is that, like, I'm sure there's a sexual element, but it's so minor in comparison to just like the need, you know? Like there's a lot of things going on there, and it's not about tucking, it's not about anything. I don't know
I don't
why.
even tuck.
I never do.
I do the opposite of tucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and your non-binary girl dick.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call it. I've never been comfortable with any of the terminology that like subs in. A lot of it is just so, I don't know.
That's fair.
I came up with my own terminology. Okay.
Yeah, that's totally
That's
valid.
entirely valid. That is entirely valid.
Yeah, it kind of evolved, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like for me, and this is again just the way that I view gender, is my physical body. Before I physically transitioned, I had a lot of dysphoria over it. Now I really don't. Like with surgeries and things like that. Like the only reason.
Oh my God, are you gonna stop changing clothes? Sorry, Kaden.
Oh, it's okay. I was just gonna say that the only reason for surgery for me is just to bring what my brain says I should have in line with what I actually have. Like if that makes any sense. But yeah. It has nothing to do. It's not gender confirmation surgery. It has nothing to do with my gender. Like, so inside I feel totally androgynous, totally genderless, and the way that I kind of express that is through my presentation and also through my actions. So while I present feminine, a lot of my hobbies are very masculine. Kind of the way I carry myself isn't really feminine, it's more neutral. But to me, at least, I can completely separate presentation from identity in a way that a lot of people don't. Like, my presentation is not my gender. What I do is not my gender. I'm like, my gender is just the core of who I am. I mean, it comes from the core of who I am, and it's nothing. It's just neutral.
Oh my god, everybody's
Look,
changing clothes.
fine.
Why do I have to change clothes now?
Costume change. That's a nice sweater though.
Thank you.
It's actually
Very
the
cute.
demigirl colors.
Yeah, I bought it because it was very close to the trans flag.
Mhm.
And I randomly came across it in the just in the Talese. Someone donated it to Talese, so I'm like, this is it. And I bought this even before I started hormones. So yeah.
I
Oh
mean, this one almost kind of looks like the trans flag colors. It's like blue, pink, and white, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, that's what I thought.
I guess if you analyze my top, it's kind of the NB colors because you have
Yeah.
black, yellow, there's a little bit of purple, and
Yeah.
there's white.
You got the purple covered.
I have on rainbow socks, okay? That's the closest I can get.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. And I made the flag that we're using for the thumbnail is
Nice.
so. Yeah, there's one of those.
And
I'm gonna have
here's my
one made.
closet. Stream.
Okay.
I don't
can
have
we
a
just take
closet.
1 second
Oh
to
my
talk
god.
about flag design? Like, who was it that decided that the asexual flag and the non-binary flag had to be one color apart? All
The
of them are
order is
Exactly.
different.
so confused.
It's basically the same.
The order is different, though.
Oh no, I'm just talking about
Yeah.
Merch Pride.
Yeah.
When
I
was
don't
with my
know.
friends and we kept
I
running
like
the
it
asexual
because
shit.
I'm both. Like I'm ace and I'm non-binary, so I like that. But it feels like it was designed by the same person. And
And
I
that
don't
one person
know.
was ace and non-binary. Okay.
Exactly.
Like I use the
Nice.
All of the community's flags have a vague palette swap element to them.
Yeah, it's like a flush kind of thing. Yeah.
my mess.
Mhm.
I have a ring. Yeah, I put that in my window before I went to Pride. Then at Pride, I got the other one.
Pan.
I have a pan flag, but it's on the floor, and now I feel bad that it's on the floor.
I don't.
Mhm.
I'm going to have a custom made bigender Pride flag, which is very similar to the trans flag, except for it has a blue and pink in the middle merging, which I feel works for me.
I held this up. This is gender fluid.
Yep. I actually had to ask that
Yeah,
of someone who recently came out at my work.
This one isn't gender.
That's
Because it's
poly, right?
Yeah, polyamory.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's technically one of my flags too.
Yeah, and this is the gender queer flag.
Okay.
I got these at Outfest, and I got this. And there's a general rainbow. Here's a rainbow flag.
I was going to buy.
The one that pisses the Christians off.
I got
Oh
this
my
at Target.
God.
All your
I love it.
pins.
That's great.
I was going to
And-
buy a non-binary flag that's about this at Pride, but it was like $10, and I paid,
Oh.
and then I went to P Flag and I paid $10 for that giant one in my window.
Mhm.
I'd just like to point out that we all have better hair than Kyle.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Yeah, but you still have hair. You still have a
I tied
haircut,
it up back.
Rachel.
Sorta. Like, if it weren't so much work to actually take a razor and shave it all the way down, I would just be completely bald. But that's so much more work that I'm gonna put into it. So
Leather.
I
This
have-
is leather.
I have a.
And unlike all
bracelet.
you like
All of
changing
you have
clothes
all
for
these
fashion,
clothes
I
flag,
only
I
put
have
a jacket on
basically
because
nothing.
I'm cold.
you're cold.
I'm in
It's
Australia.
winter.
It's winter.
Oh jeez, it's summer here,
Oh,
and
yeah,
Yeah.
just basically,
But-
like,
But what Jenny thinks is cold, I think is like comfortable.
I have no idea what the temperature is at the moment, but I'm cold at the moment. So
I'm literally the
I
only one that
found, like,
hasn't my wardrobe yet.
This is.
my one agender pin, no gender, no problem.
Mhm.
Nice.
This is a good
Awesome.
design.
Yeah, I like that.
I
16 degrees, mate.
Oh,
Okay.
what? That's warm. That's really warm.
That
pronouns
is like springtime, honestly.
That is
68
beautiful.
is
Oh,
that
boy,
Fahrenheit?
it's-
Yeah.
I'm absolutely freezing at the moment.
Oh,
My
I
God.
thought you said you could
It's
deal
that
with the cold.
Australian thing.
I can normally. I have no idea why I'm so cold at the moment. I'm just really cold.
Oh.
These are good.
It people are having a little bit of you changed too. People are having a little bit of
I felt left out.
people,
I mean,
people are
go
having
for
a
it.
little bit of
Well,
trouble hearing you, Kaden.
I'm non-binary, so I refuse to conform. Therefore,
Yeah.
I'm not going to change my clothes.
I didn't
I'm
really
also
change my
lazy.
clothes. I put a jacket on.
That's still a change of outfit.
Yeah.
I
the
changed
same.
I changed my clothes and my presentation, okay? And my
Yeah.
expression.
That's true.
Does you have a they them pin as well?
I haven't even been
Someone
gender
just gave
fluid
it
for
to
like
me.
2 minutes, so I don't have any of this shit that you guys are showing off, and I'm so jealous.
I got
I've been to
everything
Pride-
at Pride a week ago.
Yeah. I
that's
went to
fair.
Pride on the 23rd and on the 21st I bought two of these and
Mhm.
stickers. So this is all new
Sandwich
stuff.
that I have, and it has a dog.
And
That's cute.
yeah, I also what did I say?
And version.
I might actually make my own custom by gender flag because I'm not perfectly fond of this one, but I do like it. So
I will say
just-
about that pin that you just had up, Sylvan.
Mhm.
What's funny is one of the things that really got me to question my gender identity again after like going back and forth about it was that people kept asking me what my pronouns were, and I was like, do they know something that I don't know? Like, because
Mhm.
my answer would just basically be like, oh, whatever, I don't care, you know, you can call me whatever. Then I'd be like, why am I okay with whatever?
so there's like 5 by gender pride flags. This is the one I prefer.
That was
Yeah.
cute.
Just because of
We're
the
like-
merginess in the
Well,
That's a
middle.
good one.
And I have ever since when people call me a girl. Like even when they would insultingly do it on the playground,
Yeah.
I would be like, oh.
Am I a pretty girl? Like in SpongeBob, like that hat's for
Yes.
girls. I'm just like, am I a pretty girl? I'm like
That's the
Yeah.
mood.
Pretty
Yeah,
enough.
like how I knew
Sorry.
as a kid, it's just like the fact that people would throw genders at me. Like I was usually seen as a boy, but some people saw me as a girl,
Mhm.
and it did like both of them felt equally wrong, and
Yeah.
at the same time equally inoffensive in a way. It's just like, yeah, okay, like am I a it's like okay,
Yeah,
I
but
can go with it. Am I a cute girl? Am I a handsome boy? I'll go with it.
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
society renders us as a sounding board. And then every time it strikes us, like maybe it bounces off the right facet that it pings.
Yeah,
That's a good
like
way to put it.
yeah, I'm just apathetic to a lot of things, I guess. That makes it.
it's like when I was younger. It's like I was like, oh, you're like a girly boy or some sissy or something, right?
Yeah.
You get called that or something. And now
Yeah.
it's like,
And now they're the worst kind of chasers.
I don't know if Kaden had the same thing growing up in high school, but I assume you had some breast development as well, being intersexed. Yeah. So changing rooms for me
Yes.
as a teenager were absolutely terrifying.
Wow. I had the same exact experience. So like
Yeah.
when I went Oh, I want you to finish. I feel like I cut you
No,
off.
no, no. I was gonna
Oh.
let you finish.
Oh yeah, so when I went through puberty, when I was like 13, I was getting like both male and female features. Like I was getting, the body hair and the breast development and the hip development and all of that. And one, I was so confused because my parents didn't tell me I was intersex. Like, I thought I had cancer or like some weird condition. Like,
That's right.
then I
My
went
parents didn't
into
know
a
I was
doctor.
intersex.
Yeah,
Because
like,
I wasn't figured out until I actually started transition that I was intersex. So
wow. Like, I found out when I was 13, and I went to the doctor, and they diagnosed me as having Klinefelters, but I just remember all of it feeling wrong. Like, at the time, I just wanted nothing to happen, and yet everything was happening. And then around like 16, I was like, if I have to have some kind of puberty or some kind of change, let it be female and not male. But unfortunately, at that point, the male features kind of took over. And all I could remember feeling then is like, I want to die.
Unfortunately, the testosterone tends to overpower our estrogen a bit. So
that's why you have to
Yes,
take
it
blockers.
does.
It did.
yeah,
And
but
I
I mean,
like, I attempted suicide because of it, in large part. Like, I was like just turning into this man physically, or into this male, I should say. And it just was like, I don't see myself. I see some guy that I don't even know in the mirror.
That was actually something that influenced a lot of this social transition going on in university. Like making understanding like what I needed was I was reading about like secondary male sexual characteristics and how they continue to manifest like past 30, past 40, like like silver back, thick neck, like ridged head, and I was just like, no, oh my God, please don't.
Exactly.
My
Like I want off blockers, but it's going to interfere with my second half of my puberty, as I like to call it. So it's not really an option, or maybe not necessarily off of them, but perhaps cut them back once I'm done.
The thing is that my dose of estradiol has gone up, and my next estradiol dose will be 6 milligrams a day.
Okay.
But my dose of spironolactone, the blocker, has remained the same. Because I was like telling like the physicians at Planned Parenthood about what changes I wanted specifically, and they recommended that keeping the blockers low would be best for me based on what I wanted.
Are you on 200 milligrams of Spiro?
It's 50 milligrams twice a day, so it's 100.
Okay, I'm on 4. Well, I'm on patches actually, not pills. But I'm on the equivalent of 4 milligrams of estrogen, and
yeah, right now I'm on 4.
Yeah,
I start off with 2 1 milligrams a day, and they were a blue color, and then the green color was like the 2 milligrams, and apparently it's like if I want to take 6, they would come in like 2, so I would have to take. So I will take 2 in the morning, starting with my next. After the next supply runs out, they'll get me in July.
Yeah.
So I started on 1 milligram, and then I went to 2, and then you see I had a lot of estrogen in me before I started transitioning. I had 128 p-moles, which is apparently a lot talking to other people, or maybe the higher end. I don't know. It's probably just because I'm fat, but
the whole time that I was in patches, I didn't get over 40.
I started at 128, and then a month after I started estrogen, I had a blood test and I was under 40. And then my estrogen got doubled to 2, and then my and that didn't do anything as well. So then my estrogen got doubled to 4.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem to start to do things in between.
It's just really weird that it went.
Method of ingestion is really important too.
Like,
oral is not just like bad for your liver, but it doesn't make it past that passive digestion or whatever. So like sublingual better, patches are better, and I just went to injections. I'm gonna do my 4th one on Tuesday.
I take the sublingual pills.
I feel like injections have made such a difference.
I feel like the patches have made a huge difference.
Is it okay if I say something?
Yeah.
So for me, with estradiol, and this is probably because I'm intersex, but injections did absolutely nothing for me. It was all converted into estrone that did nothing. I was on them for
Valerate?
actually masculinizing, and then I switched back to the sublingual pills, and again I'm feminizing, and I'm getting the effects that I needed. But for 2 years, I passed 0. I looked really male, basically, because injections didn't work for me. So
That's really interesting. It
really
shouldn't.
varies from person
Was
to
that
person.
a bioidentical estrogen?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
That's weird. I mean, I have a friend.
Weird. Everybody's, got their own experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm also not on spironolactone. I'm on cybertone acetate, which I hate that people in the US can't get this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my month of Spiro was hell. I have Crohn's and a number of other conditions that like.
Oh, Crohn's is not fun.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Just all I wanted to say was that like I honestly have the feeling that Spiro like fucks with it. I'm not exactly sure. Like, especially if you're taking oral, it feels like it helps to like flush it out of your system before you even like get the dose that you need. Because like you just pee constantly.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So
not affecting.
Spiro was originally used as a diuretic, but specifically that was its original use.
Yeah.
I avoided spirolactone because I have a problem with diuretics. Like if I drink a cup of tea, I will be going to the bathroom all the time for like the next couple of hours, so I avoided it like the plague. But actually, one of the explanations that was given to me is that the cyprotone or cyproterone, or however you pronounce it, is actually affecting the estrogen as well. Now I don't know if that's true. I have a friend who I met through the Gender Journey support group actually, and she is she's intersex. She has Klinefelters, and her estrogen started at about where mine started, and then took a steep drop, and she doesn't produce testosterone, so she didn't need any blockers. So we have no idea what was going on, but it was absolute hell for me for like 3 months until I finally got on this, and I'm actually hoping to start progesterone on the 9th. So yeah, I feel that I need that.
I don't even think it's the preferred way. I take 100 milligrams micronized orally, and it's been great. It's been great for physical stuff, but it's amazing for mental stuff. I'm really like.
I would agree with that.
Progesterone is essential for trans people that want it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Is it fine if I say something about that, because I'm on it as well, and I cycle it basically. I take it for 10 days every month to mimic like the natural, rise and fall of it, and I have gotten a weird side effect. And again, I'm not trying to say that I can biologically have periods. I'm not saying that, but I get period-like symptoms.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's common.
That's with injections too.
I
that's just.
I can explain that actually. What genitals you have doesn't regulate your hormone cycle. It's the pituitary gland. So the pituitary gland, it does what the pituitary gland does what the sex hormones tell it to. So it'll do the daily cycle if it gets a lot of testosterone. It'll do the monthly cycle if it gets a lot of estrogen. Really? So what's going on is it thinks it's supposed to be dumping its cocktail of hormones, luteinizing hormones, thyroid stimulating hormones, which then causes the thyroid to dump a bunch of stuff into the blood, and luteinizing, thyroid, G something, follicle stimulating hormone. So what it's doing is it's causing the pituitary gland to actually dump a bunch of of its own hormones. Oh, and prolactin, yeah, into the system. So that's regulated more by the pituitary gland than anything else. That's not something that I can say with absolute fact, but that is my understanding of what's going on.
It's
And then because I get it, and I'm not on really anything. And then when I looked into, what exactly does the pituitary gland do, and like the same cocktail of hormones does the same things regardless of what parts you have. Just it's whether the only
Yeah.
difference is what cycle it's on.
Yeah.
So
That makes total sense now. And now I have an answer because at first I thought, am I insane? Is this placebo? Like, why is this happening? But now I get it.
yeah,
But
no,
she
don't take that as
had
gossip.
your-
Like don't take that as this is my understanding from my own research. I haven't heard any professionals say this, so don't
Good
don't
point.
take this as fact, but it makes a whole lot of sense.
It does.
I think it's
because-
a like it's like it may depend. Your results may vary, right?
Yeah.
Like someone I know, they say that like, oh, I've been on hormones for nearly 2 years and I haven't had any period-like symptoms. Like one of my friends, they said that.
Why?
Yeah.
And
Well,
they're on
Well,
like
I've had
they're
them since
feminized.
I was a teenager, so yeah,
Is it
that
just
was fun.
hormone?
but cis women have different experiences with this as
And
well.
then of course like masculinizing hormones can like stop it. Like I know like one of my exes, my ex-boyfriends, he said that he doesn't get periods anymore now that he's on T.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, because he would be getting a more of a daily cycle, which isn't nearly potent.
Yeah. He's been on it for when I was dating him like a few months.
Mhm.
And then like it would be completely overrun by the testosterone.
What do you
Yeah, of course. It's just yeah, because I'm
Actually,
like
that leads to something that I'm kind of curious about. Like, how how is it different? Like with HRT, like trying to find that balance when you're coming from a non-binary or agender
for
perspective?
me,
Like,
I
what
was more
are you going
specific.
for and like what?
Mhm.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
How do you
for me,
advocate for yourself in a medical
Mhm.
I
context?
I had an informed consent clinic.
Mhm.
Same
So
here.
Clinics, informed consent is so important.
yeah, there's no legal requirement for like psych referrals or anything. So in the United States at least, any any clinic can be informed consent. Like
Mhm.
there is no law saying that you
Okay.
have to like wait a certain way or need these psychological referrals. It's this
Mhm.
they do kind of do a little bit of like it's like if it is a gate, it's like the easiest gate to get through. Not to say it's like a bad thing or good thing, but
I don't know if you're talking. You must be talking about like your portion of the United States, because I mean, the
Yeah.
local and state laws will greatly affect.
that's not abortion. That's like with HRT.
But
Yeah,
it doesn't
treatment.
really
yeah. No,
say
if you're in the South, you're completely fucked on HRT though.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it depends on which providers you have. Like Philadelphia has a lot of informed consent clinics. Like
Right. Yeah,
Utah has
because you're
one.
more Northeast adjacent. You know, it's not.
yeah,
It's honestly the Northeast and the West Coast are more in
mhm.
line with Europe. If you're going like rural Midwest,
Oh, I'm sure. Like Philadelphia.
Alaska, like there's lots of places where it's not.
Uh,
I don't know if urban settings in general are good in the United States.
yeah.
Mhm.
I actually have been. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kaden.
Oh yeah. So for me, with going on HRT, because this is something that I struggle with, but I found that what I wanted the most is just to get rid of male features.
Same.
If I could do it all over again and be 12 and not go through any kind of male or female puberty, I would do that and just have nothing, like a totally, sexless body, a body without secondary sexual characteristics. But seeing as how I can't go 20 years in the past and correct what was already done, I
Well,
was
that's a
just
game that's not worth
I
playing.
want
The
transition to female body because I just want to go as far away from male as possible.
the problem with
And
the problem with that is that would mean that you would have to have no sex hormones in you for the rest of your life, and that would mean that would be very, very, very bad for your health.
Right,
On
we're talking-
so
so
many
again,
levels.
You're talking about ideals and fantasies here. We're
yeah,
not talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
English,
ideals.
the human
Um,
form is so
Ideally, I
limiting.
would want that, but
Actually,
realistically, I
time
know that's
travel
not
is impossible. There hasn't been a machine invented yet.
not healthy.
Come on, the Unity
So-
when we can all have robot bodies.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that.
But I was just gonna say that in 2019, even in like 1990 something, if I could go back and stop, puberty from happening, that would not be a healthy option, as May said. So the best thing for me is just to be female bodied, to have estrogen dominant system, have a female sex characteristic, and not male ones. And so I figured doing the physical MTF transition was the best thing for me. It
Yeah.
does not make me a woman. It doesn't make me a trans woman. I'm not a trans woman. I'm still agender because gender is not about your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I am. Well, first, yeah. I like the doctor I've been with for a while is doing everything. She's actually a nurse practitioner. So it's a nurse practitioner led clinic, and we do informed consent. And when she was diagnosing me with gender dysphoria, there is some limited gatekeeping. Like she had a list of stuff that she wanted me to do or look into and all that, and I'd already done it. So like she wanted me to go to the gender journeys thing, and I was like halfway through it at that time, and she wanted me to read the Sherborne health guidelines, and I told her what was in them and this and that and everything else. So it was like no, it's like okay, like here it is. But I got through it pretty well because I had already actually started laser hair removal on my face when I went like 3 weeks before I went to that first appointment. Oh no. So but when my nurse was diagnosing me with dysphoria, I was completely honest with her. I said that I don't have dysphoria over any of my guy part, any of my male features or anything, only over my lack of female ones. And she actually asked me if I'm non-binary, and then offered to just give me blockers and not estrogen. And I'm like, that's literally the exact opposite. So I just said I want like the normal, because I already knew what I wanted. So I'm like, that's not what I want. Just give me the normal. I didn't actually directly answer her whether I'm non-binary or not, because that ex that said horrible things to me had just said those right like a couple of weeks before that, so I was still really like, she drove me way back into the closet for being non-binary.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna so what I really want is I want more testosterone, but I need to wait until I'm done puberty for that. Go ahead, Sylvan.
Oh, it took a long time for me to trust doctors, to trust therapists, to think that they weren't going to try to lock me up if I fully expressed myself. And that, like, and then in my 20s, once I finally did like come out to doctors to have them say, well, you're suicidal from this, we should get you on antidepressants, or like, if it gets really bad, maybe antipsychotics or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's just,
Yeah.
Once I was in an informed consent setting with a clinic that I knew I could trust, and I could just go presenting myself, and I could talk about things, like that really was the catalyst for a lot of stuff. I found a therapist that was non-binary and who had
Oh.
spent time, they're trans femme, and so they spent time identifying as a trans woman earlier on, and it just
Works for you. That sounds
it,
great.
it's so important to find people that you can trust, that you can share everything with. And if you don't feel like you can have that with your therapist, then it's not really a relationship that you can like build something with.
I don't. I've had some very, 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 very bad experiences in my
Oh yeah.
in my early years with therapists and psychologists. So I have but I don't have a therapist or a psychologist. I just have my nurse practitioner. So like, I just basically went and said, "Give me estrogen," and she's like, "Do you have dysphoria?" Yep. Okay, here's your estrogen.
Yeah. For me, like, I wanted to like to more be more specific with my experience when I started HRT as a non-binary person. Like, I straight up told them like, okay, I felt like I was worried that I was like, even if it's informed consent, I was like, I felt like I had to like play things up a little bit, but I felt like I didn't have to in the end.
Yep. I
Because
went in this shirt and um a very colorful pair of leggings. I didn't need to though.
yeah, I had on like I don't know, like a pretty androgynous outfit. I was wearing like a feminine top. I had a job interview later that day. Maybe it was probably not the best idea to have that, especially since I fainted for the blood test they did.
Huh.
But I still managed that day quite fine. And then my mother went with me, although she wasn't with me the entire time. Like, I was just basically to drive up there. I was just not trying to sell her on it, but it's like, this is what I'm gonna do, and if you don't like it, well, tough. I just had to like really. I felt like I had to convince my mom more than the nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
Supportive, like my parents, because I was a college student then, and lived with them. I still do live with them because I don't have housing money yet, but I did tell them that I always wanted breast development, and that I was really worried about like some things like male pattern baldness, and I told them like I experienced both social and some body dysphoria because of that, like like lack of breast, and I was, I
It
was
took
like,
me so,
I was still wearing breast
I
phones at the time.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a little bit of that. I
Yeah,
need to
Funny,
get some things
I don't
up
know,
here
like my
fixed.
hairline, maybe there's some regrowth. I don't know.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
it's
spent a lot of my time surrounded by like people who had swallowed some pretty nasty gender critical stuff, and
Oh,
made me feel like just
yikes.
wanting breasts made me like a perverted man.
Oh yeah,
But then like
perv.
once you're doing it, once you're like on
Pervs.
hormones, you're just like, wait, I'm a woman. How many women are like, I don't ever want a boob? It's like ridiculous.
Exactly.
yeah.
Like it's
Exactly.
it's part of the whole package. And like I don't want like augmentation. I want like the biggest ones ever. But, like I feel very, very happy with where I'm at 5 months. And like at the
Yeah.
beginning, I didn't even know how I felt about it. It's very easy to become from ambivalent to like proud of something.
Yeah,
I
I
get
mean,
to
I'm like, I'm not even going to think about. I'm not even going to think about augmentation until I've been on hormones.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
like it's the whole like puberty is happening. Like nobody gets like breast enhancement at 14 or like
Yeah. Augmentation would make sense like 3 years after 3 years of HRT. 'Cause that's when like growth stops. Like by
Right.
3 years, where you are is gonna be
Yeah.
is well,
It's
you'll
like
reach the growth limit, I guess.
Yeah.
it's
So
like all transitional surgeries where it's right for the person when they want it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like a purpose.
I would wait
There's best to
years.
wait.
And plus,
No.
augmentation isn't covered on most insurance plans.
No.
Oh,
No.
My mom, like my
I
mother
don't
had it, and
know.
she paid out of pocket for it.
It's
And she said
covered
it was
in
like
Minnesota.
It is expensive.
It's not. It's only covered in Ontario if I were to get like virtually no growth, and I don't think that's going to be a problem for me.
I'm at A cups
there has to be,
already.
there
Yeah,
has to be like
I'm at
a
it.
doctor's note that like maximum growth has been achieved or whatever, and that
Mm-hmm.
for you, and that there's a medical need. But yeah,
That makes sense. That's
And
only
facial feminization surgery isn't covered.
And top surgery for trans masc people too.
yeah. I know
Exactly.
I know plenty of like trans mass people get it when they like find like some
It's a
like
big
I
deal.
feel like that's
Really important.
yeah.
Yeah.
Although or
They-
some say not just like like a mastectomy but rather a reduction. Like one of my I guess former partners, I don't know. They're also like they're agender and they said they wanted uh breast reduction. And then we would always like joke like, "Hey, you could give some to me."
Hmm.
Yeah, that joke starts to make me uncomfortable.
Like-
after,
yeah.
Oh, I apologize, Sylvan. I did have something to say though. And I'm wondering this because this is something that I've experienced as someone with a name that is androgynous, but well, my full name is female. It's Cadence, but the name that I go by and the name that everyone calls me is Kaden, and that's what I want to be called. I want to be called Kaden, and it's an androgynous name, but it's mostly masculine. And I've caught so much hell from trans medicalist, True Scum, and TOFs for being named Kaden. And they're like, oh, if you're really trans, why don't you change your name to like Melissa or something?
I
And
mean,
it's just like,
you're at the
because,
perfect intersection.
yeah,
That shit from every group.
Yeah.
exactly. And so I'm wondering like if anyone else has had that kind of like call out on their names because it's just painful. Like my name matches my identity, but binary supremacists, I'll say, don't really see it that way. So I'm kind of wondering if anyone else has gotten a similar thing.
The only person who hates my name is my mom, and that's just because she hates the name. She calls me by my middle name, which is Renee.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mother's name, but she's better at calling my dad told me he refuses to call me by my real name and uses my old name. I don't know if I want to call it. Yeah, he's been stubborn.
Yeah, my dad's defaulted to kiddo. I'll take it.
My dad is still dead name.
Mhm.
Dead
Dead name, yeah, he
yeah.
changed me.
Like, I don't have anything against my dead name being a male
Yeah, I don't
name.
hate my dead name. It's just I like being called Brittany better.
Oh
If
no,
you
no.
don't-
I absolutely hate my dead name in a way that I would have changed it if I was cis.
Yeah.
Same here.
I dead named my middle name in 3rd grade because it was my cousin's name and because it was lots of letters and I didn't like it and I cut it out of everything and I just didn't associate with it. It's Christopher, male follower of Christ, and I hate it. And right now
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of
I
like
get
the legal process of trying to change it, and it has become like a big thing for me where
Well-
I can't do anything until that gender marker is changed, until I don't see that name on anything ever again, you know?
I
Well,
got my gender
my
marker changed.
my two dead names, like my first name and my middle name. My first name means son of God,
Yeah,
and I'm in,
like
and I'm
damn
in. I'm like a strong. I've always been like a strong atheist, so I hate it. But I was once in grade three, yeah, in grade 3, there was 4 people with my name in the class. It's
Wow.
stupidly common. I hate it. I hate the meaning of the name, and my middle name, which is definitely out there, which was James, is just as bad. I was in a class where there was 3 of them.
Oh, I know that feeling. Like
So
my dead name has a, and I'm not gonna say my dead name because I know if I say
no,
it,
you don't have no
folks
no pressure,
will
you
use
don't
it
have to.
against me. But it's a very religious Christian name, and it was also very common for like boys born in the 70s and 80s, and I absolutely hated it as a child. I hate it now. Like if I see it on anything referring to me, I will almost literally vomit because it just makes me that sick. The meaning was terrible, and my dead middle name was my dad's middle name, and it's basically a serial killer middle name.
oh,
Basically is what it is. Like it's
Yeah.
one of those. And I hated my name so much. And at the age of 11, like I heard of a band with a song, and one of the lines mentions someone called Kaden. And as soon as I heard that name, I was like, that's what I should be called. That's
Yeah.
it. That's me.
It's
And
that.
it just
It's that
felt so
resonance.
right.
Yeah, resonance.
Yeah.
It's like my mom's middle name is Annette,
Mhm.
and my sister is Anne, and it was just like Colette. There was a lot of reasons for it, but
Mhm.
once I had that rhythm, Sylvan Colette Sarwell, that was me. That's
Yeah, like my
That's
initials
so
are the
awesome.
same though, which I kind of made it. That was a deliberate
Me too,
decision on
yeah.
my part. Like I was like, narrowed myself. Okay,
And
weirdly enough, I found out my new middle name before my first new. I don't know why. It took me longer to decide on the first name than the middle name.
it took me longer to decide on the middle name, but my first name, okay, my dead name is Matt, spelt with one T, and half the reason I chose May is because I only had to change one letter, so I don't have to relearn how to sign my name or anything. I just basically get to invert the T.
Oh, I get that completely. Like my dead name, like the only thing that my dead name has in common with Kaden is that it uses letters. Basically, it's like totally different, but like like one of the things about me is that if I were a cis man, I still would have changed my name to Kaden. I probably wouldn't have the full, cadence because that's more female. But if I was a cis man, I would still be called Kaden. I would have changed it. Like my dead name is just not me. No, no, no.
I
And with the
probably
signature, like before I transitioned, my signature was squiggly line, because I was not going to sign that name. Now that I'm living as myself, I make sure to like write out Kaden clearly.
yeah.
Yeah.
We lost Rachel.
Yeah, they signed off because they're just tired.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I
And we should
don't have the chat
probably
up.
wrap this
Yeah,
one
we should
and
probably
the
wrap into the after show. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Way off
my
track.
yeah, not really,
I
but
wanted
whatever.
I just wanted to say one last thing for like the show here is that ultimately I know I'm non-binary because that's what resonates with me the most. Gender euphoria was more of a motivation for me, and realizing I was non-binary made a lot of sense. It felt like I unlocked like the biggest mystery ever. Like it was the reason why I had a lot of existential dread
Mhm.
and numbness, but I realized it was because I was just raised wrong. I didn't like being a guy or a man. Like,
Yeah.
and the woman label just didn't really resonate with me. I mean, I get close to it a lot of times, mostly for practical reasons and mostly for desire to present as feminine because I never got to do any feminine things. Like I did all the masculine things that I liked, and I
Yeah,
want to do the feminine things I liked. So I missed out on some things. I got to do some nice things with with masculinity, but now it no longer serves any purpose to me.
Right.
So being non-binary is just good. It's who I am. And every time I say that to myself, like, oh wow, I'm non-binary, I'm an NB, it still feels right to me.
Yeah.
And that
Same here.
novelty hasn't worn off.
Yeah,
Like-
like okay, so I actually knew I was non-binary like 2 or 3 years before it was actually coined.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably same here. Like
Yeah.
I actually
I
No,
think gender queer is the
as a
older,
child,
slightly older though.
it is.
I
than
think
Like
that
every
that was coined in the mid 90s.
gender queer.
And I knew I was non-binary and trans and bisexual or pansexual or whatever you want to call it. Um uh in 1993.
like I would say the same exact thing. Like
Bisexuality was
as a little kid, I was like, sorry, I feel like I talked over you, Brittany.
uh bisexuality was around for definitely in the current. It's been around, been known for a long time.
Bisexuality was coined in 18.
Yeah, and
I
its
have no
usage for
idea.
human sexuality is like, I think Alfred Kinsey was like the first person to really make it popular for human sexuality,
Hmm.
Okay.
and that's
I'd say
where
that
he,
probably were.
yeah, you
But
get like the
like,
Kinsey scale.
yeah,
Which
I
is,
mean, people won't like me saying this, but it's all the same.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
bi, pan.
to
They're
me,
similar yet distinctive labels.
yeah, they're definitely distinctive labels. I mean, like, to me, it
Yeah,
it basically
still the
means that I like all of the parts and I don't care
Mhm.
about the rest.
exactly. But that
Um,
distinction is really important to some people, so I make
Mhm.
sure to call people what they want to be
Yeah, but,
called.
like,
oh yeah,
for
absolutely.
me, I'm pan, and the rest is what matters. The parts don't.
Exactly.
I'm not
Yeah, I
attracted to
mean,
parts,
that's
I'm attracted to people.
it's
Which should be what bi means as well, but it doesn't to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So
people.
that's why I prefer to identify as pan, because then they have to ask me if they don't already know. Whereas if
Yeah.
you're
But
bi,
it tends
people
to,
make assumptions.
Yeah.
Well,
Bi tends to be more trans inclusive. It's not that it has to be, but that's
Right.
how it's felt.
yeah,
For me.
my definition of bisexual is closer to the original definition, but it's very specific. I
Mhm.
say that I'm attracted to people with any combination of primary or secondary mental or physical sex characteristic.
And that makes total sense. And honestly, I feel like if we weren't living in such a binary society, bi and pan would kind of collapse into the same. But because
Yeah.
a lot of people think bi means
Sex-
only cis men and cis women,
Mm-hmm.
then pan has to exist for
That's
Yeah.
as long as
part.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's part of
Like,
the reason
as a
I won't
non-binary-
use.
Yeah, as a non-binary person, I felt I sort of like started talking about my sexuality less often when I was before I realized, because
same here.
it's like, what does heterosexual or like straight or gay attraction mean to a non-binary person? It's
know.
like, it's
I
defined as like,
know.
what is same gender, what is opposite gender, like,
Exactly.
Yeah,
It
I
kind of
mean,
collapses for an envy. It doesn't work.
I mean,
mhm.
I have outright said that, like, it's always gay with me.
Exactly. It
Same. I'm
doesn't
gay
matter.
for
It's always
everyone.
gay.
See,
It's all
If you're
gay.
into
Okay,
me, you're
I
not
have a
straight.
question. If you identify as non-binary, I can understand when you say you're pan or bisexual.
Mhm.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm asexual.
Can't really be gay or lesbian, can you?
I mean, if you're only attracted to like one set of gender, I guess, like some non-binary people, like, I know, might be attracted to like women and feminine people, I guess,
Yeah.
I'm
or like
pansexual.
men and masculine people.
I'm heavily sapphic.
I think I more lean towards the sapphic side too,
Yeah, it's feminine.
and I kind of femme as well. So
masculine is
Oh yeah,
bi.
I'm totally
Especially
gyno romantic.
masculine.
And
I mean,
well,
this is really
Sapphiros herself was
interesting
bi.
because-
Okay, okay,
because I
okay.
identify as pan, but I'm more attracted to men than women. But
No one said it has to be
Um,
equal.
so I could say I'm just heterosexual because I totally identify as a woman. But could you do that if you're non-binary?
I
Can
basically
you
It
take
would
on a heterosexual label
depend.
I would say no.
or a lesbian or gay label if you're
I don't know.
non-binary?
There's
I
people
could-
that identify as gay and lesbian.
okay. Let's Kaden speak.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. It's just like when four people are talking,
Mm-hmm.
I was taught not to speak over people, so I don't want to do that. But I just had two things. Like, first of all, I'm asexual, and what that basically means is that I don't experience sexual attraction to anyone. I just don't experience sexual attraction. I'm sex repulsed. It's just not for me, and that has nothing to do with my gender identity. It's just my sexuality. It's how I experience things.
Yep.
And also, like with non-binary, I have heard people identify as like non-binary lesbian because they identify closer to female.
Mhm.
Yeah.
than male,
Exactly.
and
It's
they
the
are
same
into women exclusively. But those people are valid. I accept them, but also I personally find it hard to wrap my head around being non-binary but using terms like straight or gay because it seems to be built on a binary assumption.
I think that's
I
just
mean,
like
I call myself a lesbian quite often because I'm basically kind of romantic, right? I'm bisexual or pans or whatever, but I'm only I'm. It's very rare that I'm romantically interested in anyone anytime.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
I am basically functionally a lesbian, and hey, I'm still half woman, and I generally present femme. So like,
Part-
yeah,
my partner says they're almost like a lesbian because they're rarely attracted to men, and if they are, it's like the occasional like trans mass person. Like they're definitely more attracted to like women and feminine non-binary people, but they primarily identify as pansexual.
yeah,
Well,
Pansapphic just describes me best, and definitely the lesbian label.
Bye.
I mean, like the thing is that Lesbos is the island, and Sappho was the poet that was actually
Yeah.
attracted to ladies. So I like that. If I identify as lesbian on the internet, I'm just gonna get a bunch of shit that I don't need.
Yeah, it's
I-
such a. I feel like it's such
Because-
like a guarded label. Like people really want to like guard it a lot. Like
That's-
It
let people use any label they feel that suits their best. Like
like
if I don't want to,
that's
if I have no time to explain, I just say I'm queer. Like just throw that out and people get it.
exactly
Mhm.
Like
because
queer is so easy.
if
Queer,
you're
like
queer.
trans and you identify as lesbian, toast will like be on you.
Oh
mhm.
my
Like
god.
white
Yeah,
on
especially
white
if you're
to be able
trans
to prove your
femme
part.
or
Exactly.
That's
Like I came out to someone once and they were actually a toast. And it was
Ooh.
online.
oh
And
my
I said, hey, I was born male. Or like I mean I'm intersex, but I was assigned male at birth. And I don't identify as a man and like I'm questioning my sexuality and what she said and is it okay if I use swear words? Because I
Go
wasn't
ahead, go
directed
ahead,
to it.
absolutely.
She
Yeah,
said,
we fucking use them all the
fuck
time.
you male pervert. You
Oh.
sick fuck. You don't even deserve to die. You don't even deserve to die. You sick
Oh,
fuck. And
that's
that was
People
like
are
That's
the
assholes.
fair.
last yeah. And that was like the last moment that I talked about my assigned gender at birth. To cis people. But also imagine if I was a trans lesbian, and I'm not because I'm agender and asexual, but if I was, imagine how much more that hatred would have been.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
got it. Part of the
Yeah.
reason I do prefer to call myself a lesbian is just because of the hatred those that people
Mhm.
have. Not just for people who are bisexual, but also extreme vitriol for people using that label. For trans people, and it's just like, come do your worst. I don't care. I'm going to I'm going to label myself however I want. I use my labels in a way that describes me, so I'm not being inaccurate with it. I'm just basically using the label to say, I'm not interested in dudes. Right?
Exactly.
I'm really picky
That
with
makes sense.
guys.
I
Yeah,
am.
anything that can shut down a dude's come on, that's the ticket.
Yeah, like I got a
Yeah.
chaser on my Facebook, right? And instead of blocking him or anything, I'm just like, I'm basically a lesbian, right? And he's like, oh, sorry, and fucked off.
Yeah.
I might want to say that just to like if I want to make a creepy guy go away, but he
I've
could, but he could say like, "Oh, I can turn you." Although some do that, right? Like even
Yeah.
talk to
I
like
have
like
that done
cis
too.
lesbians, they get forced with that. Like people tell them like even that also can apply to some ace people too. Like like saying that, oh, you haven't experienced the right person with sex
I
or
feel
something.
that so much from these like creepy
Yeah.
50-year-old men. Like I mean, I'm 32, but they think I'm like early 20s, and they just come on strong like that. And I'm
Jesus.
like, you know, no, I'm asexual. And then they're like, oh, well, I can turn you. You just haven't had the right guy yet. My dick can turn you. And it's just like this happened in real life, and it's happening online, and it's just disgusting.
It's
Yeah.
So
disgusting.
it's
Guys
like,
already have enough blood
disgusting
to
and-
think
And-
in one head.
And I want to bring something up. It's a little off topic, but ace people get like, for ace people even get shit from other ace people, and that is like horrible. Like there are some ace people who are not sex repulsed. There are some ace people who are very much sex repulsed, and there are some ace people who are just sex apathetic. And like even ace people within, you know, fight with each other, and then there are other people who are like, oh well, you're not LGBT, and that's just absolutely
Oh, I've
shit.
gotten that
So
Yeah, just
um
because you're wearing the
Because I'm
label
agender.
doesn't mean that you're necessarily friends.
yeah,
It just means that you have like similar perspectives and backgrounds and similar like systems of oppression working against you. But like,
Mm.
I mean,
The
yeah,
way
there's nothing.
I don't-
Yeah.
it has to be
the
there.
way I see it is that a lot of like shit against ace people is like repackaged biphobia, because some people like exclude them for saying like, oh, they can appear straight. But that's like one thing too, like when heterosexuality is presumed to be the norm, anyone can appear straight.
no
Exactly.
But that doesn't. That you still feel the discomfort. You feel still are getting hit by that societal beam of
Mhm.
constant sex culture. Like it's you know, it's like the whole
No.
like male privilege for me.
I mean,
And,
people
like,
thought that
again- Well, I don't want to cut you off. I just wanted to say this. Like, I don't buy into the political feminist stuff. I just don't. But at the same time, like, it bothers me when I get said that I'm not LGBT, because I'm my life partner, my life companion, David, is a cishet man, and to a lot of people, I pass as female. Some people I don't, but to a lot of people I do. And I'm asexual, so people think that that's not really oppressed. And so I get told all the time, you're not LGBT, you don't belong in the community, you're not LGBT.
well,
And it makes me so sick.
I
'cause
mean,
think
like, I'm not.
oppression-
I mean, like, I don't think that oppression should be a consideration for whether you're LGBT or not.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I'm not
But
oppressed for
not
being
allowed to be
LGBT.
at TERFs.
Right? Like, I am demonstrably not oppressed for being
Mhm.
interested in whatever gender you want to say makes me LGBT on that, and for being trans. I'm not my every situation I can possibly be in has improved since I came out, because I'm better
Yeah.
able to function, right? So
Exactly.
it's
Same
so
here.
like,
Same here.
and I get it for someone who's in, say, like the deep south and the Bible Belt or some shit like
It
that.
still affected. It still affected your
Utah.
experience up to that. It still affected when you did it. It still affected when you accepted yourself.
It didn't affect when I accepted myself
Yeah.
at
like,
all.
It didn't affect that either.
In terms
you
of
know?
presentation and everything.
Well,
Like, I just
I'll let May answer.
didn't have a need to present femme for most of my life. Even I didn't even think about it, like, but like, it still has nothing to do with my being, you know, bi, and yeah, I got some gatekeeping and transphobia like 15 years ago, but like, it hasn't. I cannot complain about where I am now, and like, being myself, I am in a better place than where I was being half myself.
Exactly.
So
I mean, I
um
experience transphobia pretty much every day. Everywhere
I
I go,
know.
a little bit of it.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I feel better about life regardless.
Yeah, I
I
don't
I
experience it
know.
hardly ever.
no
Either.
there's I feel I actually feel kind of guilty that like
Yeah, I do too.
I've been presenting full time as whatever the hell I want to present
Mm-hmm.
for like 3 months, and nobody has ever blinked an eye. There's like 2 transphobic regulars at work, who've caused a couple of issues,
Yeah, see, I've been chased in
with
parking lots.
bathrooms,
I've
but
had security called on me. I've had people
Oh my
like
god.
threaten
Mhm.
me.
Sylvan.
Had people
So
like I had the security guard when I was waiting for the taxi come out and like sit in his
I
car,
saw that
put
post.
on music, and was like watching me.
Oh
And,
yeah,
like,
I'm
20
so
minutes while I
sorry.
was waiting
that
for a taxi.
sucks.
And it's the thing.
Man.
The thing is
Wow.
that like I'm not necessarily in a safe environment. I'm in the suburbs, which like my relationship split up, and I found housing where I could. This is not my ideal setting, but
I
I'm
find
so
that
I still go to businesses. I still present like doing this every day. Like I go with my friends and like give them like support and energy when they are like wearing a skirt out for the first time or whatever. And like
so sorry.
like we like what I like is like getting a group of people from support group and going to a coffee shop, and it might not have even been trans friendly, but they're going to be while we're there.
yeah.
Exactly. That's
Um
such a powerful attitude, Sylvan. It honestly is.
yeah, all my trans friends but one live out of town. And it's hard for me to get with them. Um
I'm a really
look,
long way away.
yeah.
I want so much more community. I was talking to a friend from support group who was like, I haven't really hung out with cis people in 2 years. And wow, you can do that.
I think
Yeah.
I have a few cis friends, not that many.
I wore a
Pretty much
skirt
all of
out.
my friends are cis.
I wore a
All
skirt
my
out for the
friends are
first time
cis
at
in
this.
real life. All my real life friends who I actually get to see in real life. I mean, I
Yeah.
count May as a real life friend, even though we haven't met in real life.
Mhm.
All my friends are cis. I went stealth and got completely out of the trans community.
Wow.
So yeah, I came back in and outed myself on Twitter because of Stephen Woodford. So I thank him for that, even though he is a cunt.
I thought you said it was because of me.
Yeah, no, I got back in. I got into doing this because of you.
Okay.
That's good.
But I outed myself on Twitter, and then we met each other. And I was looking at doing YouTube, but not this YouTube. I was looking at doing creator stuff, electronics and things like that, and maybe some debunking videos and stuff like that. But I was not planning on outing myself. But I outed myself on Twitter because of Woodford, and got to meet May, and we both got talking, and that's why this channel started.
Wow.
And I wish I'd done this years ago. May has taught me so much and opened my mind. So, I mean, I was already a lot more open than I was 5 years ago, but May has opened my mind a lot. You guys have been awesome too. I think I follow all of you.
I've learned so much about myself, about other perspectives, about people in the community, people that are my friends. I feel like, yeah, you can survive by cutting yourself off, being a hermit, something like that. I did that for long enough, but
I mean,
community is so essential, and being around and with people that understand your perspective and don't discount it and don't make fun of it and just like empathize.
Exactly.
It's like the
And
next step. It's the next step after therapy and
Mhm.
group stuff and everything like that. It's going out into the world and building the community like where you want it to be.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I'm. That's part of the reason I'm.
Yeah.
I want.
I appreciate that.
I want community, and I want to help people, and I want to like have people learn to understand us, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my activism when I first transitioned, and I was out then, and I was in the middle of it. But the people I were out with weren't people, were the people like me, the true scum. And we were really pushing hard for what we wanted back then. And it is one of the reasons why a lot of regulations in sports and that ended up the way they were, very exclusionary. And because we were the voices, we were the strong voices, we thought you lot were just, well, I actually didn't know that gender fluid existed. I knew there were people who identified as non-binary, and the one person I met at a group I thought was an absolute complete freak. Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, I generally am a very accepting, loving, caring person, and I pride myself on that. But my inner disgust for some other elements of our community, when I finally realized I had that, absolutely shocked me.
Wow.
I actually want
Is it
to.
right away? Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I was obviously openly envy because obviously you can't be non-binary and be stealth because it just isn't a thing in our society. But I was stealth about being a. I basically lived as an AFAB non-binary person. There were some people in real life who clocked me as AMAB because, like, at the time, my HRT was not where it should have been, and I'm also 6'3". But online, I lived completely as as AFAB, and then some turf found me, and gained my trust and pretended to be an ally, and I told her in secret, and then she outed me on Twitter to everyone, and I had a lot of followers who were transphobic and who thought things about trans femme people that were just horrible. And then this person's like, hey, this, and she used he pronouns, this man, he is just this autogun
That's
file.
horrid.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
I was just outed as trans femme, and I shut down that account and I disappeared offline for several months. But
yeah.
I was forced out of the closet about that. Like I was forced out of stealth because the turf outed me. But in hindsight, I feel like it was a good thing because it helped me to accept myself. Like, yes, when it gets down to it, I'm a queer male. I was assigned male at birth. My biology is mostly male. I'm AMAB. And that's something that I've come to accept about myself. And I've come to accept that my face has some male features and that my voice is, sounds like a queer male's voice. And that.
Not really.
No.
Well.
No one both.
That sounds so much more
to myself. And I've come to accept that. And I've come to embrace who I really am. And like my name as well was part of that because I mean it's always been Kaden, but at first it was just Kaden, and at that point I was like, you know what, because I was a AMAB and because I don't want to be considered on that male side, I'm gonna choose a name that can be shortened to Kaden but is still feminine. And it was just a big part of accepting myself. Like, and I still go by Kaden, obviously, but it's just being outed by a turf. Yes, it sucked. Yes, it was painful, but it helped me to really own who I was. And that was such a powerful thing for me. Bye, Sylvan.
Bye.
Goodbye.
If you gotta run, we're winding this down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to wind this down. We've gone way past what we were going to. We're over 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, we haven't gone off topic too much.
Sweet dreams and start huddle.
So I just had just one more thing, and then and then you can say something, and then we'll go to the after show after I get something to drink. Like there was actually I don't think anyone else in here knows about the Non Sequitur show, but there was a notorious episode of the Non Sequitur. I can't remember when it was. It was like over a year ago. Right? And I didn't know or accept or understand non-binary people
Mhm.
because most of the non-binary people I had encountered are people that I still don't like, very
Mhm.
very aggressive, like very um uh very, unwilling to explain anything, right? So
Mhm.
even though I've basically identified as being non-binary for 23 or 24 years or something like that, um, I had never been properly introduced to the concept. So I actually
Mhm.
went to the gender wiki to look for to look this stuff up so I could like prove it's not real.
Mhm.
um, and then reading it, I'm like, oh wait, no, that like perfectly describes me. So it's like, oh, now I understand some of this. Okay, that no, that makes what are these people doing being so horrible? Um
Yeah.
so like I still don't like some people, but that's just because I don't like them. And
Yeah.
that's because I feel they give people like me a bad name. Um
Exactly.
but yeah, I used like I was apathetic, and I've always been completely apathetic towards having dysphoria to be trans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
was like, this doesn't make sense. I need to go look it up so I can debunk
Yeah.
it.
Like I
um
totally know that because like in the NB community there are like a lot of like SJW types, like the really aggressive political adventurers that just have these extreme views and who will treat you like garbage
yep,
if you disagree with them at all.
yep,
And I'm not that way. I've
no,
never really been that way. And so I had a hard time accepting me being non-binary because I'm like, but I'm not this extreme, social justice, fanatic.
yeah,
I'm not that way. Like even when I was more SJW oriented, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was never to that extent. And so I finally got to a point where it's like my gender and my politics are separate. I don't need to be this political adventurist to be an NB, to be
exactly,
non-binary. And
exactly.
so it
Like,
just took reaching that point to really accept who I was in terms of gender.
yeah, I mean, like I said, it didn't. Okay, it changed some understanding
Mm-hmm.
things, but it didn't ever like it didn't change how I saw myself. I already saw myself basically as I do. I've really come to learn a lot of things about myself, but like it never changed who I am or how I identify on as a base level. It's just like I read it and it's like, oh, okay, never mind. So you had something to say, Brittany?
Yeah, almost. I think I was gonna say something related to. Um,
Or
I lost my train of thought though.
sorry.
No, no, sometimes that happens in conversations. It moves on, but
Anyway, we're
um,
gonna need to wind up, I think.
yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
say it's like this is a really good podcast to like talk about some issues
Mhm.
related to like being non-binary, especially. I think it was good discussion. It's an interesting podcast, I guess. I never really been on one, so I guess the quorum is kind of new for me.
Mhm.
And I'm just realized that's like this is who I am, and I'm really in some ways like building like my own house,
Mhm.
trying to like find like okay, like I came from like a very unsafe house, like my assigned gender in this case, and the other house wasn't really that comfy, though I took some aspects of it and build my own.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That makes sense. yeah, I've kind of come to develop my understanding of who I am and my identity instead of like I've just come to have a better understanding of myself based. And I'm kind of just doing my own thing, and I don't care about what other people's things are. So yes, we are going to wrap up this show. Now, one thing we have always liked doing is we've liked like just continuing to go on talking about nothing for a while. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an after show. Everyone is you're both welcome to join the after show, and if anyone from the chat wants to come into the after show, you are more than welcome. We'd love to have you, Purple especially, because you've been pretty active in the chat talking about yourself being non-binary. So, and also Jessica and Scarlett, if you're still here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the show and then start a new one in a few minutes so that people have time to like go get a drink or something.
Cool.
So yeah, that's it for the show, and
links will be in the description. Follow everybody. Join us
Yep.
over in the next chat.
Yep, and I'll start that up very, very shortly.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Good night.
Bye.
Night, everyone. Bye.